So licks 22 and 23. This is one that you can almost do without picking at all, or certainly by just picking the first note. If you so desire. This is a very kind of 80s style lick. In fact, I got this lick, should I say, or a lick very similar to it out of Guitar World magazine way back in the maybe late 80s or early 90s. I think it might have been a Richie Kotzen lesson. This was before, well, I'm very old, so, you know, this is kind of when dinosaurs walked the earth. Prehistoric times, pre-internet times. This is even before they put CDs. CDs existed, I'm not that old, but this is before they put CDs on the cover of magazines, so you would get tab in the back of the magazine. Without any context, you know, you'd have to kind of read music a little bit to understand the rhythms. And I remember taking a lick very similar to this and really shoehorning this into my playing pretty much everywhere. And it's based on the grouping of 6 that we saw earlier, but with some slides and therefore some position shifts. So refer to the tab. I'm not going to go through it fret by fret when you've got the tab, but we've got this group of 6. Then we slide down. So we go slide down and then we go up and back down again. So that's another permutation. And then we do a hammer on, well, you can pick, but you can do a hammer off nowhere for the grouping of 6 again. So that's the first bit. And then you just apply that to the next octave. And then the next octave. And just bring it back to the D note, bring it back to the root note at the end. So when you break it down, it's not that complicated, but because it's not an even number of notes, it kind of glides across the beat quite nicely. So it sounds a bit more complicated than it is. It sounds certainly less structured than it is, should I say. And this is the one where, you know, the sort of lick where you'd have people kind of play this sort of thing in the 80s where they would kind of, you know, kind of mute the neck like that and go, you know, look at me, no hands. And there's a cramming variation of this. Where you're just kind of playing it as fast as you can, you know, try that as well. You'd have seen that at the start of this video. You know, it kind of lends itself really nicely to cramming and just sort of, you know, that kind of, someone described it once as having a bit of mercury in your hand, not that you would touch mercury, and having it just kind of roll around. It might be a Joe Satriani kind of analogy, but that's certainly the kind of Satriani school of legato, that real kind of glidey ebb and flow, you know, where you're not kind of tied down to certain subdivisions. And you'll see on the video that I kind of improvised a selection of kind of crammed ideas. So there's no tab for absolutely every single variation because you've already got the tab for licks 22 and 23. It's the same notes, but, you know, just kind of, well, the first couple of examples were just purely crammed. But there's another thing you can do where you kind of hang around. Anywhere you get that grouping, that, you know, kind of grouping of 6, you can kind of linger on that for a bit longer. So you can go and take your time on the way down. So, you know, just to kind of improvise something. To make for a longer lick, you know, really getting more mileage out of the idea. Another one that I played was a kind of Satriani, that kind of staggered thing that he, similar to what he played on Always With Me, Always With You. There's a lick at the end of that song where he does a similar thing. So it's like a... You know, so it doesn't have to be like da 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 da. You know, it can be blah 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 blah. More kind of conversational, more kind of. More kind of flow to it, more kind of liquidity to it. Difficult to explain or difficult to demonstrate with a clean sound right here, but you know, that's what I was doing in some of those examples. There was also one where I descended one lick and then went up one of the previous licks. You'll see that as well. Just with an idea like that, you know, if you think about this as your kind of territory, and then on the next octave, what you do within that, it's completely up to you. So loads and loads of applications.